This is Nishanth PM, Senior Faculty at Reflections IAS Academy. I welcome you all for the PCM orientation. I am sure you are all following our orientation classes over last few days. So my orientation class will be followed by anthropology orientation by Dr. Vivek, who is an expert in anthropology. In today's orientation class, we will be discussing more about the history. What is the importance of the subject history in UPSC preparation? What is its role in general studies? All this we will be trying to discuss. So, the moment you have decided to attempt civil services, you are already in a special league. Why in the sense? Because this is not an easy exam. However, it's not extremely tough examination also. If you do certain things in a proper way, you can easily crack this exam in very less attempts. For that, certain focus approach is required on certain subjects. History is one such subject where through focused approach you can definitely master this subject and also have lot of awareness and knowledge on this subject. So coming to history, what we are going to have in today's class is we will try to see what is the scope of history as far as this examination is concerned. What are the different parts of history and what are certain parts of the history which is frequently being asked in UPSC. What is that we at Reflections are going to give when you come to our PCM batch? Firstly, history is part of your Prelims and Mains, both syllabuses. So history is a very important subject and carries lot of weightage in UPSC as far as Prelims is concerned and also Mains is concerned. In Prelims, you are having lot of MCQs from history over the last few years. You can go and check your previous year papers and there are a lot of questions on history. Similarly on mains, in mains, history questions are repeating in your paper 1 year on year, and then you are having lot of importance for history. So basically, what is the history in prelims? What is the history in mains? Okay, so prelims. And first of all, what are the three different components of history broadly when we speak? History is basically the ancient history of India, the medieval history of India, the modern history of India. Okay, these are the three broad categories as far as the Indian history is concerned. So some two small components of history called postmodern and also world history are important as far as your UPSC is concerned. So these are the different components of history. Over your preparation, you will try to discuss ancient history, medieval history, modern history, postmodern history, and as well as postmodern in the sense it is also called as post-independence history. Post-independence history and your world history. So these are the components of history you will be trying to have a grip on as you prepare for the UPSC examination. In prelims, you don't have world history, okay, and also there are very questions from the post-independence history. Basically, as far as prelims is concerned, it is mainly ancient medieval and modern history. So basically especially these two components are asked along with the cultural aspects of India. So what many students think is culture is a different subject. Let me focus on culture separately. But no, culture is an extension of history. So whenever you read history, culture you are supposed to imbibe through reading of history. So this culture is very much part of your ancient and medieval history. And of late, if you see, there are a lot of questions on prelims on this culture and ancient medieval combination. And coming to mains, in mains there are various general studies papers. You all know that. We call them GS1, GS2, GS3, GS4. So in that, the general studies paper 1 is having all these parts of history. So if you are saying around 250 marks of GS1 paper, over period of time we have seen that history questions are somewhere between 80 to 100 marks out of these 250 marks. So basically in mains your history is carrying not less than 100 marks out of the total 1750 marks which you write. Okay, so 100 out of 1750 you might think it's less, but when you will be shocked to know that some toppers, most of the toppers in fact, hardly score 900 marks. 900 if you get, you will be one of the toppers. In fact, you will be in top 50. So 900 out of 1750 will be one of the top marks. So when topper itself is 900, and if you say the impact of 100 marks in 900, you will start realizing the importance of history. One advantage you will have with regard to history is history syllabus is mostly static. It is mostly static. Sir, is it really so static? Of course not. There will be 5 or 10% of current affairs which will be there in history also. But if you see, mostly history is very much static. So how you can easily score in history is, there are nothing, almost 90 to 95% of the syllabus of history is static, and by repeated revisions you can definitely master this. Master through repeated revisions. And the sources are more or less standard, and you revise them repeatedly, and then you can master the history. Okay, so first thing is the prelims, and then the mains, and next is history also has other important areas. It can act in some areas, especially your essay paper and your ethics paper, and also it will make you more informed, and if you are more informed you can handle your interview well. So when you master history, or if you are good at history, you can be good at your essay, you can write good essays, you can use historical examples in your ethics paper, and also when you are informed well about Indian history or certain aspects of Indian history, you can confidently handle your interview, because you will be really appreciated for the knowledge you hold in particular history. So basically, it will have a kind of ripple effect. So initially we thought it is having only 100 marks, but if you see essay, ethics and interview, the importance of history as a subject in UPSC is manifold. I hope I am clear in communicating to you about the importance of history as a subject in UPSC. Why I am focusing so much on the importance? Because some people, not everyone, some people, they think history is really boring. Let me avoid it. Let me only do modern history. It seems to be only 200 years, one or two textbooks. Let me do that and then get away and try and attempt UPSC. My friends, that is extremely wrong approach. Extremely wrong approach, because in today's cutthroat competition, history, by virtue of being a static subject, by virtue of being a straightforward and easy subject, you can master it through repeated revisions, and your confidence in going to the examination will be very high if you are good at history. So I hope I am clear in informing you the importance of history as a subject and the importance of history in UPSC, both prelims and mains. Okay, now common question which I come across when I speak to many of you is, sir, history is really boring. Is history really boring? My answer to that question is no. Because why you feel history is boring? Many of you think history means dates. This is a very, very wrong notion. You think history means dates. Oh my God, I have to read history. History means dates. I have to read what is 1947, 1857. So many dates are there. So many years are there. If I start reading history, before I go to the next page, there are 10 more dates. I forgot the previous page dates, and it's really, really exhaustive, boring, and I feel like giving up. So that again, that approach to history is wrong. History means not dates. History means not years. So, sir, then how is history? History means it's a timeline. History means timeline. So what is this timeline, sir? What is the difference between dates and timeline? So, for example, 15th August 1947, this is a date. Okay, we all remember this because it is our Independence Day, and then we definitely remember this. But is it possible to remember, practically possible to remember every date from ancient age to modern age? No. So how do you master history? How do you enjoy reading history? And how do you have your own judgment and analysis about history? So that is where we as an institute come up with this unique approach of timeline based history. So the moment you are exposed to this timeline based history, you will feel very fascinated. You will feel really refreshing by reading this subject. So people who have come to our institute and seen this particular timeline based approach are really thrilled, saying that, sir, we thought history was really boring. We thought history was really lengthy. But thank you that you people have made us realize that history is not about dates or years, it's about the timeline. And then the latest trend in UPSC is, it is more about analysis. Again, many people think history means political history. When did Akbar fight this war? When did Krishnadevaraya fight that war? When did Aurangzeb fight that war? Or Chandragupta Maurya, with whom he has fought war? So, of late, history is not only political history. It is not completely political history, wrong. It is more of analytics or analysis But what is this analysis about? Definitely about kings and their kingdoms and the timeline. Of late, the analysis is about subaltern society. What is a subaltern society? So, historians are now curious to know not about what Akbar wore or what Akbar had so much wealth or XYZ. They want to know what did people feel during the Akbar's kingdom. What was people's feeling during Ashoka's kingdom? These kind of studies are going on in the history as a subject, which is called subaltern history. Subaltern history. So, one thing is now clear. It is not more about dates. It is not about the political. It is not about the exact dates also. It is more about timeline. It is more about analysis. So, the moment you know that, oh, there is analysis in history also, and then you start thinking differently about this subject. The subject that frightened you, that subject which bored you, now will start making you feel thrilled because you know that this subject can now be conquered. You know that this subject can now be conquered. So, this is about the history. So, I was speaking about this timeline approach, right? Timeline. What is this timeline? So, how do we ensure that we understand this timeline? Basically, before that, we will see the three different components of Indian history which are part of your syllabus. First is ancient history. So, ancient history is basically from the Stone Age, okay, up to the Harshavardhana period. Up to Harshavardhana period. Medieval is from post Harshavardhana up to advent of British. And your modern is from advent of British to 1947. So this is how broadly the timelines of history are generally understood. Sir, who has given this timeline? So if you speak strictly, there is no division or something of this sort. But for our convenience, because we have to know or read, so something we need to have some convenience. So for the convenience, we ourselves have just tried to segregate our history into these three parts so that we can easily understand what is what. So ancient, so from Stone Age to Harshavardhana, so almost from 25,000 BCE to 700 CE, up to 700 CE. From 700 CE up to around 1700 CE. From 1700 CE to 1947. So what is this BCE and CE? BCE is before Christ era. CE is, before common era, and now CE is common era. So previously we used to call this as BC and AD. Now this is not an accepted nomenclature because of the religious connotation it is having. So now the historians are using BCE, that is before common era, and now it is common era. So you see why many people again feel modern is easy, because they see that it is only 200 years here, 250 years say, and they say, oh my god, here I have to read 25,000 plus 700, 25,700 years, and then Harshavardhana to advent of British 1000 years. so it is only 250 years, so I will only practice this for exam. No. Again, if this age might be very, very lengthy, but the historical evidences we have for ancient are very, very less. So if you see that case, ancient, though it looks like a huge time span, you can find it very easy. From medieval, we have lot of kingdoms and lot of literature available. So relatively, when compared to ancient modern, your medieval is slightly tricky. I'll not say tough, it's tricky because you have so many kingdoms and so many timelines to remember. Coming to modern, this is something which is recent, right? So today we are in 2024. So this is very recent to us. Very recent to us. So our instinct and inherent way of understanding the subject, we try to understand this because we are still hearing about independence and its heroes. So we have an inkling and liking towards this and try to focus more on modern. Good. But do not avoid other parts of history, because today in the competition, if you go with only this weapon, you are very, very weak. And if you see, all the toppers who have done consistently well are strong in these two areas of history also. So if you are strong in these three areas of history, you will be in a very, very comfortable position in handling the UPSC examination. So coming back to history, so this is about different parts of the history, and then there is something called post-independence. So we all know, the moment you see this, you should be able to understand it is after 1947. So basically, as we grow as a nation, the post-independence history also starts growing, because we are already now, so what, 53 plus 24, so 77 years of post-independence history is already there. So mainly in post-independence history, the main focus is on tribal integration. Okay, the main focus is on tribal integration into India, tribal integration, language issues, states reorganization, then you can talk about green revolution and the advancements in science and technology. So these are not exhaustive, but some important lists which are there in your post-independence history, including some environmental movements. Of course, we will be dealing this in our classroom programs, because these are not generally dealt by many institutes. They give some standard printed textbooks and they say you please read them. But we will be doing them everything, because sometimes in mains they are straight away asking you a 10 marker or a 15 marker on any of these topics, and many times people are found caught off guard. So this is a post-independence history. And then important aspect of history which is often neglected is world history. In mains, we definitely have world history. Okay, many times they are asking you straight away a 10 marker or a 15 marker question in world history. The problem is, the world history, many students think, it's very interesting. Sometimes world history speaks more about, it is about the revolutions, French and American revolutions, then your World War I, World War II, and then the UNO, and then the Cold War, so on and so forth. There are around 10 to 12 important topics. Okay, so French Revolution, and then you have Industrial Revolution. So this is how your world history moves. So since what happens many times is, many people think that this is very interesting because this is related to world wars and other things. So they spend too much time on this world history and lose some preparation time. See, this exam, you are competing against your friends and the time is limited. The syllabus is ever growing because everyday news is part of your current affairs. It's not about hard work alone. Hard work there is no substitute for hard work, no doubt about it. But in the present generation, you need to be smart. You need to be smart. So smart in the sense, you have to see how much you have to spend on a topic and how much you have to read and what is that you are getting out of it. In that context, we will definitely cover world history as far as your UPSC is concerned in a very crisp and concise way, so that our notes itself will suffice for you for rapid revision. And I am damn sure after attending our class, you will not take more than 3 days for revision of world history, which is more than enough as far as your UPSC is concerned. So that's one more thing. That's one more thing which you need to understand. That not every not everything is so much effort is required in particular subjects. Okay, so that is about some parts of history. So before we try to close our session, we just try to know what is this time loan approach. We try to understand what is this timeline approach. What is this timeline approach which we are speaking about? So basically, how we'll go about? So ancient, just take the ancient India. Ancient India. In ancient India, we have Stone Age. Okay, so we all know that there is a Stone Age. In the Stone Age, there is something called Paleo, Meso, Neo. Paleo is your old Stone Age, Meso is your middle Stone Age, and Neo is your new Stone Age. Fine, Stone Age is done. Okay, then you have one of the most important aspects, which is Harappa civilization. Harappa civilization. Most important aspect is your Harappa civilization. After Harappa civilization, you have the early Vedic age. Early Vedic age, which is also called as Rig Vedic age. And after Rig Vedic age, you have later Vedic age. Later Vedic age. After later Vedic age, you have the Mahajanapada period. Mahajanapada period. After Mahajanapada, you have the Mauryan Empire. Mauryan Empire. After Mauryan Empire, you have the advent of various other kingdoms like Indo-Greeks, Shakas, Parthians and Kushanas. Okay, Kushanas. Later you have the Gupta kingdom. And finally you have the Harshavardhana kingdom. You might be thinking that, oh my God, sir has written so many things and how I'm going to cover it. But you will be surprised to know that the moment you read all this, the moment you read just the names of this, you will already have some idea and revision about these things. So your ancient starts from Stone Age and all the way it comes up to Harshavardhana. Though it looks a span of 25,000, 30,000 years, it is actually nothing but very simple and straightforward syllabus. And you see, UPSC always has some areas which are prime focus. So they definitely have more focus on Harappa. They definitely have more focus on the Mauryan Empire. And they definitely have more focus on the Gupta Empire. And then these people have brought a lot of reforms in Indian way of life, especially cultural impact. So if you see this, there are definitely important areas even within the ancient that we will anyhow be teaching you in the classroom. So the timeline approach is nothing but, you see, nowhere I have mentioned years because I might be remembering the years, but the moment I remember the years or I tell you people, you will be confused. But the moment you know that this is the sequence in which these things have come in ancient India, you will have some idea about the timelines and years also. So there are two things. One is you by heart that when Harappa civilization came. So if I say Harappa civilization flourished from 2500 BCE to 1700 BCE, you will start getting annoyed. Oh my God, I should remember 2500, 1700. No. But the moment I say the early Vedic is after Harappa, now you just remember Harappa civilization. So if it is after Harappa, definitely it should be around 1500 BCE. And you see, it's all about how you try to master this subject. It's a timeline is there, and when you know the sequence, you automatically remember each and every dynasty and each and every phase of history by interlinking it with one or the other aspect. Please try to understand. This is how you need to focus on trying to understand various components of history. And this is how precisely we will be teaching you history. And because we believe that if you understand a subject very well, your clarity of thought on that subject will be very good and you will be poised to take up that subject in a very good way and in all parts of your exam, especially prelims, mains and also your interview. We also one thing you people can definitely understand is this particular flow will help you even during revision. So in medieval, there is some other way because by the time India has come to the medieval age, there are many dynasties, many kingdoms which are coming and definitely, because India, North India and South India, in medieval what will be our approach is, so if this is our India, so for example this is our India and we try to divide our India into north and south. In medieval history, the best approach is to have segregation of these two areas and then try to attempt them in a positive way. How? You tell me. For example, in north when you say there are kingdoms like, and also there is some Deccan Plateau. In north you have Gurjara Pratiharas, and in the east you have Palas. In the central part you have the Rashtrakutas. And in the southern side here you have Cholas, you have Pandyas, you have the Pallavas. And then as we come to the more and more modern medieval time, you have the Hoysala, then you have the Kakatiya, you have the Yadavas. Okay, and in the north you had Harshavardhanas, and then you will have the Rajputs. And finally in the northern part from the 12th century you have the Delhi Sultanate. By the end of 12th century or say the 13th century, you have the Delhi Sultanate, and followed by Delhi Sultanate is your Mughals, and followed by Mughals is the British. So, sir, so many names you are saying, you just now said it is not about names, it is more about analysis. So, the moment you have this division, see, nothing comes easy. History is definitely a subject of lot of hard work, no doubt about it. But what I am trying to say is, it's not so easy. At the same time, it's not so tough as many of you people have the opinion on this subject. I am trying to say, with a strategic preparation, proper level of understanding, segregation of the subject, trying to understand this timeline approach and place approach, you can definitely make it lot better when compared to what you are thinking. And that is what is our focus in our history subject when we take it up at the classroom level. So basically, the history as a subject, just trying to revise what we spoke over last 45 minutes to 50 minutes, is history as a subject is definitely important as far as UPSC is concerned. History as a subject is easy, or it is relatively straightforward. Let's again just summarize. If I say history, so break and study. What is the strategy is break it into pieces and study. Of course, it should be having continuity. Don't read each and everything in isolation. Okay, sir said 1700 is over, so 1700 done. No, not like that. That 1700 or 700 is only for ease of study. So break and study, but definitely have continuity. Go for timeline approach. Timeline approach in history, no doubt about it. Timeline approach. Frequent revision is very, very important component of history. Frequent revision is very, very important component of history. And then trying to analyze historical events in your own way. Why did Delhi Sultanate come to India? The moment you ask this question to yourself, you will have lot of answers. You will start becoming curious about this subject. What is so important about this date 1172 CE, which changed the landscape of the country? And what is so important of this particular episode in the instance? Okay, 1192 CE. What is so important of this 1192 CE that it is so much turning point for Indian history? The moment you start questioning this, you will have a lot of answers. Why this battle of Panipat in 1526 has become so significant in Indian history? Why Mughals could win that battle? So if you ask this kind of question, so you analyze historical events, you should have curiosity. You should have curiosity in your minds. And then the other part of history is it is relatively static. Relatively static. And examiner cannot go beyond the boundary of the syllabus. He cannot go beyond the boundary of the syllabus. Relatively static. And standard sources of revision. Standard sources of revision. And expected patterns of questions. Expected patterns of questions. Of course, recently they are asking you slightly tricky questions, but okay, even that we can expect. It's not like some current affairs where you don't know what kind of question the examiner is going to ask. No. At max, he will ask on Akbar, Babur or any some XYZ. He might phrase the question differently, but he cannot completely avoid history and ask you some question on current affair, right? So he has to ask you question on history. As simple as that. So expected pattern of questioning. Okay, these are some of the important components, and finally it is having cross paper importance. Cross paper importance, when I say that you don't confine it to only GS1. It is important as far as any other papers, especially your essay, ethics and other things are important. So that's why history becomes an important topic, and that's the reason what we thought there has to be an orientation class on the history, not because we wanted to tell you about how to go about it, how to read about it. We don't wanted to start any syllabus saying what is Harappan civilization, anyhow that we'll do in our regular classes. In orientation, you need to know or you need to orient yourself towards the importance of history without getting afraid of this particular subject. The moment you are afraid of this subject, you are really in trouble. So don't be afraid. You can make yourself comfortable by following these simple tips, and you will see that the moment you are confident in history, any exam, you will go and attempt it with a lot of confidence. And that is where is the difference between the person who's getting a rank and not getting a rank. So that is what we feel is significance as far as the history is concerned. Definitely. So that is something which we wanted you all to make understand, and hopefully you'll start joining our PCM batch, which is going to start very soon. And yeah. If you have any questions, you can just type it in the chat window. I can answer them. If you people have any questions on, history or any kind of UPSC preparation, you can definitely type it there and I can answer you. With regard to sources of history, there are pretty much standard sources like, Bipin Chandra for modern history, R.S. Sharma for ancient history, okay, and Satish Chandra for medieval history, Norman for world history. So there are pretty standard questions. Pavan, actually Tamil Nadu NCERT is good enough as far as your prelims is concerned, but when it comes to mains, you need to have a lot of analysis on the subject. So definitely for prelims, if you see Tamil Nadu textbooks are good with factual information and lot of dates, but for mains, you should have lot of analytical orientation. So there is no one best book for preparation, Sri Sri. Obviously, we need to depend on multiple sources. Of course, we'll consolidate all of them in our classrooms and we'll definitely bring out the best to you. So post-independent events, how important are they? Megha, the thing is, post-independence is not part of your prelims questions, prelims syllabus. But if you see, they are definitely asking you in mains, and they are asking you as a 10 marker or 15 marker. And I'm sure in the present competition, you will understand the importance of each and every mark. So to be prepared for something which is already there in the syllabus and which is a straightforward syllabus is always better than to be prepared for a surprise in the examination. Kotaya, see in what amount of time? See, time depends from individual to individual and how fast you understand this particular subject. So I don't want to comment on how fast you can prepare, but if the moment is in the classroom, we are trying to make it easy for you to not only revise but also to understand the subject in a crisp way, and then when you go and revise, it will become much easier. NCERT books. So obviously NCERT books are becoming important when compared to your prelims and mains, when you see them impact on prelims and mains. But so that's what I'm saying. NCERT, if you go and read directly, it will look slightly, because the NCERT is spread over the classes. It's not like your entire modern history is in 6th class, ancient is in 7th class. It's not like that. It's over from 6th class to 12th class. Your entire history is spread. So what we will do is, we'll bring them all together and present it in our classroom. You will study the entire history in the classrooms, and then when you go and look at the NCERTs, you can just breeze through. So that would be a better approach than you start studying the NCERTs, because you will slightly feel dry as far as history is concerned. Repeat the names in the sense I did not understand, Vamsi. Okay, textbooks you are saying. Textbooks anyhow will make you understand, it's not a big deal. So those textbooks are again, the consolidation of NCERTs only. So don't worry about textbooks or reference material, that will be definitely made available to you in the classrooms. So your focus should be on understanding the subject and going then and revising them in a holistic and proper way, and thereby trying to master the subject in the following ways we have told you. And definitely I'm sure this session will help you to ease out certain inhibitions about history. Okay, and you can definitely feel more confident. And as someone who has given 3 interviews, I can confidently say that history is not so difficult as what you people think. It is good subject as long as you are able to maintain a regular revision and have a proper understanding of the subject. Okay. No, this is part of PCM orientation only, Shravani, and anything you have other things, you can definitely reach out to our institute and they'll help you. Okay, on that note, thank you very much, and I think your next session will be starting soon in next 4 or 5 minutes. So we'll again meet, whoever is part of the PCM batch. You will be again seeing me here in the Reflections IAS Academy, because history by and large I will be handling in this institute, and we'll definitely meet up and we can talk on history much more when we meet in person. Thank you very much and have a nice day. Bye.